Hey guys, all right, Wolfman WR2 today, same one I've been using recently. It is a 84 gap, yeah, and this is the Duke Simpson brush. This is the Duke 3, and I have soaked this not for a while because the first time I used it a couple days ago was my this is a loaner brush from an awesome guy who said, "Hey, give this guy a try. I think you'll like him." And so I want to put him back in the water just so I can shake all that water out in a minute as my usual pattern. But I think I soaked it for about 10 or 15 minutes, the 10 or 12 minutes previous use. And he maybe indicated that probably wasn't long enough to get the tips soft for this particular brush. So we're going to do it again. All right. I mean, I would have done it again anyway, but this time, long soak. Soap today, as usual, because I want to see how long Stirling takes for me to use up some. I want to see the usage. And right now, I think I started with 223 grams. Before yesterday's shave, it was 221 grams, and today I'm measuring just the bottom part here, not the cap. It was back to 222 grams. So maybe a little bit of water got added back in, or maybe my scale, it's a digital scale, but maybe my scale is plus or minus a gram. I don't know, I'll have to look and see. But definitely the water added can play a part in that, which is why you have to do a long sample to where you get to where that little plus or minus isn't gonna cause a problem for you. Plus, since I weighed it in the beginning when the soap was definitely dry, hadn't been used in a month or two, I'm going to have to treat this the same way at the very end, let it dry fully, and maybe for like a week with a cap vented or something like that, and then measure it. Then we'll lose that water weight and we'll have a good figure. I am putting different blades through this WR2, and so today's blade is the Wilkinson sword, and this is the one made in India. The one from Germany, I believe, says classic on it. Both treat me very well. I think the Indian ones are super cheap. I think the German ones are a little more expensive, and I like the Indian ones just fine. It's a great budget blade for me, and it's one of those where I tell the story. I went to buy like 20 or 30 online at Amazon years ago, and it was maybe $6, but for $2 more I could get 100, something like that. Anyway, so I got 100. I don't mind because they're good little blades. All right, so before we start things, let me do my pre-shave routine of water. And there we go. Now, we will take a look at this blade, and this is one I'm going to marathon, but it doesn't have too many uses. I think 4, something like that. And so I did put an M on it because it'll be used like that eventually. And as always with the Wolfman, the 4 posts here serve to align that blade perfectly every time. No need to adjust it like with a bunch of other razors. This is a stainless steel razor. This is the H2 handle, I believe. Works great. I like the balance. And it's going to last a very long time. Looking forward to passing a lot of these razors on to my son. All right, so let's load the soap. I think I did 20 seconds last time with this brush. I'm gonna go ahead and do that again just for grins. Oh, hey, let's do a quick test. This is a Simpson Duke 3, of course. So I am going to see how much water this knot stores. I'm going to establish a little table. Right now I've done my Stirling Finest Badger 26 millimeter. It will hold 8.5 teaspoons of free water. That does not include the water absorbed into any bristles. All right, so what I'm going to do, I take it doesn't have any water in it at all. Take my shaving bowl. Now I lift this out until it, pretty much doesn't really drip very much at all. That'll do. Then I will just kind of shake first, and then I'm going to squeeze very lightly. There we go. Since this is somebody else's brush, just a very gentle squeeze. And so now here he is. And now I take my syringe, and that is a lot of water. Wow. Okay, that's 2 teaspoons. Four teaspoons. Getting all the little bitty drips and puddles everywhere. Okay, so that's 4 teaspoons, 6 teaspoons. This knot holds 6 teaspoons of water. How about that? All right. So let's load up. 20 seconds. So then I will do my usual, get most of the water out, and then we'll load up. And we're starting at the 5 mark, so we'll go to the 25 mark. We'll just see if this brush has tips that are softer than 2 days ago. All right. This brush kept some of that water. This is a lot more water dripping out of the soap than usual. Okay. And it doesn't really look like it's very much of a load, but I'll bet you it'll be just fine. I'm going to rinse the threads of the soap tub here. Yeah, it's definitely a lot wetter than when I've used my other brush. So it could be that this, when I do my shake, this brush just kind of tends to hold on to more water than the other kinds. All right. Let's mix this lather up. Lather bowl from Roger Quintero. Thingiverse.com is the website that a lot of people put their 3D printable files on, so you can just browse that site and find some cool stuff. And there's some shaving related stuff like shaving handles, brush handles, you know. Of course there's razor stands, things like that. And of course some inserts like to go into an Altoids tin to be able to break down a 3-piece razor and just store it in the little pockets that it creates, you know. That's kind of cool. Frugal Shave is a company that does that. But this is a shaving bowl. I'm sure there's several shaving bowls out there on that website, but if you have access to a 3D printer and want to print one, then you can just access the link on my video description. This is a smaller brush, and so it does require more work in terms of my wrist action and things like that than some of the other ones. We're getting a nice lather kind of right away. Let's go ahead and fill up my 2 teaspoon syringe, and we'll go ahead and add a teaspoon. With Stirling, you can definitely shortcut your lathers that way. And if you know you've used it long enough to know how much water you need, then you can put that water in at the beginning. Just stir slowly until it kind of integrates, and then you can increase your speed if you want to mix faster. Looking forward to see if the longer soak will give me any kind of change in the feeling of the brush tips. It's a little hard to hold on to because of the smooth handle, and it's a short handle without too much contour. It does have that ridge in the middle, which helps just a little bit. At least it helps you to index and know when the brush starts slipping in weird ways, you know. But it does take more muscles to hold on to it than it does some of these crazy ergonomic handles that I have. All right, let's take a look at the lather. Looks great. Still some in the bowl. I'm going to do a pull-up test. Not a whole lot of lather to be able to know too much about it from that test. Let's add another half teaspoon, and that might be all we need. During the lather making portion, I know I spent a few minutes doing that. If that's not your thing, I understand. If you want to watch it faster, watch it happen faster, hover over the video, hit that little gear icon. At least right now that's what it is. And you can change the speed, playback speed. 1.5 is often about as fast as you can go while still being able to understand what I'm talking about. So it's a nice one to listen quickly. The 1.25, of course, is a little bit more understandable, but not as fast. So if you have less time to be able to watch the whole thing in real time, then that may be a helpful tip. This lather looks terrific. Man, I love Stirling. It's got a great gloss to it. Not too many textures and peaks and weirdness like that. Nice smooth ball. That's what I like. My preference. Lay down a little bit of this extra as a kind of something to dispel my oils. I have pretty oily skin. All right, a little water before the shave. I think more than 24 hours since my last shave. Water out of the goatee. Let's get going. And as you can see, the handle gets very soapy. Oh yeah, that's different. It is softer with the longer soak. Now, if you are looking for soft, this, still doesn't really compare to the newer knots, the finest badger knots, and even some of the silver tips that have just been around for a while, like Virginia Ching and Whip Dog and Kent, and those guys. Now, they'll have less backbone, but they're going to be a lot softer in terms of the tips. But he's doing a great job of working the lather, making sure my skin gets clean, because I usually don't shave before the shower. So my first pass is kind of my face cleaning portion of the morning. Awesome scent. right, Wilkinson sword, inexpensive blade in an expensive razor. The cool thing about blades is that they are so subjective that your face and your stubble may really like a cheap blade. It may work really well for you. For some reason I started going cross grain right there. This is definitely not as good of a match as some of the other ones. I think this blade performs a little better in some of my other razors. So I do have to watch it with this one. It looks like I need to make sure that I am really shaving with the grain on that first pass. I'm sure the rest of them will be just fine. And rinse. So that is a little bit of a rough pass, that first one, in some areas. So this probably the worst blade for this particular razor for me. Might be perfect for you. Golden nib, silver tip is another good one that's would be softer than this guy. A lot of my bores are actually softer than this guy because I like the Smogs and the Zeniths, and those tend to be really soft. I've got an Omega and a Stirling that are a little harsher, rougher than this one in terms of bores. All right. And just like usual, second pass is very nice. First pass is really the only one that ever really gives me any bother. Unless the blade is just really bad for me, or the razor is just set at an aggression level that's out of my league. Excellent second pass. All right, third pass. Plenty of lather for 20 seconds. Nice bunch of creamy lather. Perfect consistency here, not too wet, but plenty wet enough to be slick. Slick, slick, slick. Nice creamy rinses. And just this weekend was the Ask Me Anything with Stirling. Rod and Mandy who do that. And they are just quality people. And the question was asked a couple of times with all these artisans creating these new soap bases. Does he have any plans for that? He said no. He said he is experimenting, I believe, if I recall correctly, he said that. He said he is experimenting a little. But he needs to find something that is just crazy high levels better than what he's got. Because it wouldn't really be worth the hassle if it wasn't. He said he's got so many scents, the product line, the labeling, he's got just a big inventory that he works with. And to convert everything to all the shaving soaps to a new base, or to keep track of them during a transition will be such a headache that it wouldn't be worth it. Plus, he likes to produce, and this is me guessing, he's producing at a certain price point. And I love that because I love just buying up Stirling soaps for dollars less than everybody else. and just enjoying them. And it's great. The performance of these guys is terrific. And so he doesn't really have a plan anywhere near in the future, because he hasn't discovered a bass that just knocks his socks off yet. But I love his current bass. It's been around for a while, but who cares? That's because it works. And it doesn't have all these moisturizers and creams in there that don't leave as much room for the soap. And so you get a lot of uses out of your pucks. So it's a tremendous value. All right. As you can see, lather isn't drying out or anything like that. That's never been a problem. As usual, a couple of tips here. Actually, not quite as good as some of the other blades. There are, I see length on several tips right in my trouble spot, but everywhere else looks great. So yes, I am playing around with different load times, and this 22nd one for this brush was definitely overkill. I ended up with 2 or 3 passes more of lather, and man, it just looks so good. I wish I had more to shave, but it takes up enough of my day already. So this little guy, Simpson Duke 3, a good little brush, a little softer now that it had a nice long soak. There's definitely more competition for it in terms of the softness category, but I believe for guys who like scrub while still being fairly soft, then this is right in that zone. Perfect for that use. Some guys don't like it to be puppy dog cloud soft, you know, and this might be a good consideration for them. All right, I'm a happy camper. For this lather, 1.5 teaspoons of water, 20 seconds of loading, and the blade did just fine. A little rough on that first pass. As predicted, the subsequent passes were smooth as silk, but not a great match for this razor. Not nearly as good as the other blades that I've tried. Feather is still on the docket to try in this razor. What else? Oh, a Nasset. I'm not going to use my age-old 205 use Nasset, of course, because we need to give it a valid, more relevant test. Most people aren't going to be putting that kind of Nasset in their razors, so I'll whip out a new Nasset for this, testing purposes. Well, as we saw, that load on the brush didn't look like very much, but it was plenty. Plenty. All right, cleanup time. So I dried the brush, gave it a quick and very gentle comb to see if there were any stray hairs weaving around, and just to kind of straighten them out and keep them healthy. And then also, I'm going to open up the fan a little bit like that to make sure we're getting lots of nice air in there. We don't want to get any, we don't want moisture to be in there for very long, as little as possible. So that'll help it to dry out. So a nice little brush. There are a lot of softer alternatives out there, and for less money. But if that was the only brush I had forever, I'd be fine with it. It's comfortable, you know, and you know it's getting the job done. You know it's going to be able to stir up soap pretty quickly from about anything, even a hard puck. So no problem there. Well, the first pass wasn't all that awesome with this blade, so not a great match in this razor. But the soap was tremendous, lather was spot on, the brush was nice. If you are somebody who likes maybe going with a historical brush company, maybe one from, you know, Europe or England, and you like scrubby brushes and you don't mind paying a little bit extra, then I think this brush is exactly for you. This could be a good one for you. Definitely works well. The let's see, soap brush, blade. So yeah, I think we covered it. I'm just going to splash on maybe some whiskey woods from Clubman, Pinaud rather, and let's see how that feels. see how it treats my face. It's mostly just scent and alcohol. There's not really too much in terms of skin goodies here. And so if you have dry skin or sensitive skin, this is not likely going to be for you. Now you could follow it up with an unscented balm, which would be cool. This one doesn't usually provide me with any reaction. Sometimes Stirling aftershave splashes do give me a little bit of a reaction, but my solution I discovered was to wait an hour, and maybe just the skin, the conditioning and the rawness of it after even a normal shave, not a harsh shave, but a normal one, would maybe made it too susceptible to the harshness of the Stirling level of alcohol and oils and things. And so if I waited, it wasn't a problem at all, and it worked really well. I also mixed some of the Stirling aftershave with like some witch hazel with some Thayers, and then that made it work really well as well. So that's cool. All right, that's a good scent. So we're good. Good shave all around. Yeah, soap, blade, and razor brush. That's it. And we'll keep using Stirling until I get a good figure on how this particular tub, on how much I'm using up per shave. All right. Hey, well, today's Monday, so tomorrow I think will be a week of shaves with it, and I don't know if I'm down a gram. I don't know. That's funny. All right, you guys. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. I hope there's been something in this video to help you out. You take care. Bye.